All right, YouTube, welcome back to the training channel. Got a fantastic week of training here. Probably the best week of training I've had all year. So let's get into it. Monday, start off squats and dunks, 3x8 back squat, and a set of quarter squats before moving into left-right jumps, right-left jumps, off-vert jumps, and left-legged jumps, all on 9'4". I'm pretty sure that I've hit a jump PR on this day. Not 100% certain if it is like the highest I've ever possibly jumped, but it's definitely the highest I've jumped this year. A 9'4" rim and almost getting my head at a 9'4" rim is definitely a jump PR. Now, obviously, camera angles are definitely a confounding factor, as well as, height checks with just putting your head at a rim always kind of inflates your vertical a little bit. Now, I think that the reason for that is because when you are doing a vertec test and you're just jumping and trying to reach as high as you can with your hand, your standing reach is always going to be, hopefully, your standing reach is always going to be kind of similar to what your reach would be when you're actually in the air trying to reach for something. But when you're measuring your height on the floor, like for example, just standing, your spine is compressed. But when you're in midair, you're in free fall, or you're kind of accelerating upwards, and when you're at the apex of your jump, your spine is obviously decompressed because there's no pressure on your feet. So I think that the reason why height checks tend to be a lot higher for a lot of athletes when they're just jumping up and then putting their head near a rim or some kind of high object to see how high they're jumping, it always is a little bit inflated by like an inch or two, because I personally think that your spine very slightly decompresses while you're in midair and in free fall. So I think then that when you're in midair, the height check seems to be a little bit inflated because your eyes are obviously, as your spine is becoming decompressed, your eyes are looking a little bit higher up, so you think you're jumping higher. And also the angle of the camera. It's very rare that you'll see someone actually measure from the angle of the rim where their head is in line with the rim, because if you did that, then I think a lot of these height checks wouldn't look anywhere near as impressive, because you'd see how much lower people's heads are in relation to the rim. But obviously, if you're looking from a lower angle, then yes, your head is going to look a lot higher in relation to the rim. All that being said, the best height check I've ever done was probably on a 9-foot rim, and I was able to get a decent amount of my head over the rim with the angle of the camera. And that was on 9 foot. So on a 4-inch higher rim, I was able to get pretty much the same height as I was before on 9 feet. So it suggests like a 2 to 3 inch increase in my vertical jump. Now, if we're doing calculations, and you'll see the height checks here in a second, 9'4" is 112 inches if my maths is correct. And I stand at around about 5'11 and a half, somewhere between 5'11 and 6 foot, depending on the time of day. We'll say 5'11 just to be kind. So that's a 71-inch height and a 112-inch height for the height of the rim. So if my head is at that height, that in theory would give me a 41-inch vertical, which obviously is not the case. I don't have a 41-inch vertical. That would be Project 40 completely finished before I've even basically started it. No, I'm not at a 41-inch vertical because of the angle of the camera. The rim's a bit bent down, and height checks are always a little bit inaccurate. So I would say it's probably somewhere close to the region of like a 36-inch vertical jump, maybe a 35 or a 37. It's really hard to tell without like an official vertec test, but at some point later on in the training program, I am going to test my vert on a vertec, because I do have access to one at one of the training facilities that I use. So I do want to see if I am hitting jump PRs, because my best jump of all time, I think, was a 35 or a 36. So that would be a good indicator if I'm consistently getting my head on height checks above a 9'4" rim or a 9'5" rim, hell, even a 9'6" rim, then that's a good sign that I am starting to jump a lot higher. Anyway, that was Monday's session, squats and dunks. Then Tuesday's session was just some very, very simple low volume deads. Top set of 4 at 180 and 2 back off sets of 4 at 170. Then it was strict press. Program said 5x5. I wasn't feeling it for today because this week I started to incorporate more muscle ups into my program. I say more. When I say more, I mean 25 a day, as opposed to what I was doing previously with the push-ups and the pull-ups, where I was doing 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups a day. My logic and my rhetoric was thinking that if I switched out, 150 reps of volume with push-ups and pull-ups, and just switched it out for 25 reps of muscle-ups, how much worse could that be? Surely that's a lot less training volume. But the thing that I didn't really The thing that I neglected to think about was that muscle ups are a lot more strenuous on the tendons in the elbows and the shoulders, and even the wrists to a certain extent. So by trying to do 25 of those a day, which probably was a dumb idea in hindsight, but I'm sticking with it now at this point, is that it's going to impact the amount of volume that I can do on my other upper body training throughout the week. So the pull-ups, the strict press, and some of the other pulling and pushing volume that I'm doing throughout the week is going to take a hit because my elbows, my wrists, my shoulders are feeling a little bit sore from all of that, especially my elbows. I didn't really realize it until I started doing these muscle ups. It's just how stressful the bar muscle ups and the ring muscle ups are on the elbows, the elbow tendon and ligaments, if you're doing a high enough volume of them. If anyone else was looking at this, they'd be like, yeah, that's fucking crazy. You're doing 25 muscle ups a day. There's no doubt that you are going to be stressing out your elbows. But I know that my body can adapt to it and I can get used to it. So it's just a matter of time before that happens. But yeah, I'm quite happy for the upper body volume to take a little bit of hit, or like the intensity on some of these lifts to take a little bit of a hit while my body adapts, because hell, if I just keep on with this, then I'm going to get really good at muscle ups, and yeah, that's going to be freaking awesome. So yeah, pull-ups weren't as good as they were the previous week because of the muscle up increased volume, but 9.5 reps at 20 kilos with the pronated grip and 4 and a bit reps with 40 kilos on the pronated grip as well. It's not bad. Went lighter on the loo raises, just did a pump set with 5 kilos in either hand, 2 sets of 20. This is an example of the form I'm trying to keep with the muscle ups. Keep the legs as stiff as possible, as minimal amount of flexion and English, trying to swing myself over the bar as possible. The goal is to be able to every day do just 25 strict form muscle ups once we get round to it. Obviously, I'm not at that form just yet, but as the upper body strength continues to increase and the form continues to improve on the muscle ups, we'll continue to work towards it. So this was Wednesday. Nothing programmed on this day. This was basically just some accessories. My attempt to get a good amount of tension going across the tendon, get some pump work in. Leg extensions are a godsend for patellar tendonitis or tendinopathy, because you can just load the tendon in whatever portion of the range of motion where it's sore and just really strengthen it in a specific range of motion. You can go really deep for quadriceps, the tendon above the kneecap, or you can go a little bit shallower for patellar tendon, which is the tendon that is below the kneecap. Also a little bit of kind of bent leg calf raise / leg press here. Really like these for Achilles because you can get a good stretch in different portions of the range of motion. You can do toes in, toes out, target different portions of the tendon. Very, very useful if you are having patellar tendonitis or patellar tendinopathy, Achilles tendinopathy, all of these things. Any kind of tendon issue, you want to be loading it slowly through a long range of motion, or doing isometrics and just managing your load and managing the intensity of any activity that exacerbates tendon injuries. So for example, Achilles and patellar tendon, manage your sprinting and jumping volume first, then start doing isometrics, and then once it starts to decrease the pain, then you can start reincorporating the activity slowly that exacerbates the pain. Anyway, Thursday's workout wasn't programmed to do snatch, but I wanted to do some snatch. Ended up hitting a PR for the power snatch. This is probably my first time snatching in 3+ months. I went for a 1+1. I very, very nearly hit a 1+1 power snatch plus full snatch. Then I went for a second set, just trying to do as many reps as I could with a full snatch. Bearing in mind that my PR on a snatch is 100 kilos, hadn't hit that in over 2 years, and now I'm just hitting it almost for sets of 2. That is freaking crazy, considering I literally hadn't snatched in 3+ months. Just goes to show how much Olympic weightlifting, once you've reached technical competency in the lifts, is purely about strength in your squats, presses, and pulls. If you have good technique, like competent technique, and you're kind of like an intermediate level lifter, or maybe even a slightly more advanced level lifter, if you just get stronger, then there's no doubt in my mind that you will also hit PRs across the lifts. It is sometimes just as simple as get stronger, squat more, press more, and pull more, and there's no doubt in my mind that you'll probably get better at the lifts, as long as you've done maybe even a little bit of maintenance volume on the lifts. Hit some PRs in the squats here on this day as well. This was the heaviest set of 5 I've ever done on squats, 160 for 5. And then I went for a heavy single on the squat, a new 1RM. This was 175, which is 5 kilos over my old PR, which I hit again 2 years ago. So definitely squat strength is going up. And then also a 10 RM on the push press. This was supposed to be just a rep out, and I was under the impression I was only going to get like 7, maybe 8 reps. And then I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go balls to the wall. Let's go for 10 reps. And managed to get 10 with 80, which is very, very odd because I've been struggling to hit 100 for 3 over the last few weeks with like decent form. And here it is, a set of 10 with 80 kilograms, which definitely would translate into me doing a lot higher for a push press single or a push press triple over 100. Then we finished up the workout with some behind the neck strict press. Haven't been doing a lot of behind the neck anything over the last few months. I think it was this combined with the snatch that completely fried my shoulders. They're still a little bit sore at this point. They've definitely recovered since this workout, but yeah, just randomly increasing the amount of overhead volume and intensity that you're doing is not necessarily the best idea, which is, I think, partly the reason why this training log is very useful for some of you guys, because you can learn from my mistakes. You know what they say, a clever man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. So if you're truly wise and you want some training wisdom, then watch me completely fuck it up every single week, and or at least, make a bunch of training blunders, and then you can watch all of these and learn from my mistakes going forwards. So that was pretty much it for Thursday's workout. And then Friday's workout, I was with the sprint training group. It was just me and my friend on this day. It was basic block starts, really nice triple extension there. Super happy about that position. Not super happy about the steps after that, but hey, I haven't been mainly focusing on sprinting that much in this training block. Pretty terrible ankle stiffness, but I'm really happy with the fact that I can sprint and my knee is responding decently well to it. So I'm just grateful for that fact, the fact that I can still sprint and, I have the capacity to sprint. Block starts are actually really fun because you can get a lot of horizontal torso lean going into those first few steps, and it's just a new skill to learn. It's really nice to practice getting a nice powerful arm swing. These were probably the first or the second time I've ever done block starts. So considering that it's the second or first time I've ever done them, no, it's the second time I've ever done them, I think the form's okay. Definitely needs some work. I'm not going to be competing in 100 meters anytime soon, but yeah, this whole workout was literally just 5 reps of block starts to 10 meters, 20 meters, and 30 meters, and then back to 20 and 10. Nice and simple. Then we rounded out the week on Saturday, sorry. This was a little accessory workout. This was stuff basically that I missed from being able to do on Friday because I was just kind of fatigued and wanted to rest a bit more. So it was 3 sets of 5 with a much wider stance on the back squat. So 3 sets of 5 here with 140 kilos again. Definitely wasn't moving as well as it did on Monday. Just fatigue from the week had built up quite a bit. Some terminal knee extensions with the band with some isometric holds at the end. Really like these for how they make my patellar tendon feel. A few muscle ups here as well. I think I did 3 sets of 5 in here and then the further 2 sets of 5 at home on my home pull-up bar. Yeah, all in all, this was a decent workout as well. Accessory work was just filling in the blanks that I missed out earlier in the week. I believe we finished out the workout with a superset of some seated leg curls. Really, really nice for the hamstrings. Love these for a hamstring accessory, especially for squats and sprinting. You can train the hamstrings through a really nice full range of motion, get a really nice stretch, especially if you lean more forward with the torso. Got to remember that the hamstring is a biarticulate muscle, meaning that it flexes the knee, but it also extends the hip. So if you flex the hip and extend the knee, then you're going to get the most possible stretch on the hamstrings. And the same for leg extensions. If you extend the hip and you flex the knee, because the rectus femoris is a biarticulate muscle, then you're going to get the most stretch on the quadriceps muscles as well. This, again, really nice exercise, just taken to failure. I think this was a set of 20 with the machine basically maxed out. I put a pad on to try and increase the range of motion a little bit as well. I tried to extend my hips as much as I could to get a real nice stretch on that rec fem. And that was pretty much it to round out the training week. If you guys enjoyed, then drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in coaching, you want to be coached to become more athletic, then check the link in the description. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.